Essex, I am in you, and you viewers are in my car. So this is something a little bit different. So I'm on one of my jaunts to collect some antique swords today. It's a hard life, I know. And I'm in Essex at the moment. I'm on my way to Cambridgeshire. And for anyone who knows Stansted Airport, I'm not far from there at all. I'm in a place called Stansted Mountfichet. I imagine that the locals call it, but I imagine that the Normans, when they came here and named it Montfichet or something like that. And I've discovered something that I'm not going to be able to show an awful lot to you because I'm not going to have time, unfortunately, to go and look properly around it. But it's something called Mountfichet Castle. I'll put a link. I imagine they've got a website. I'll look it up when I get home. I'll put a link underneath this video. But I've never even heard of it, and it's massive. Now, it's not what I expected. So the reason I turned my little car here, which I'm driving around having fun in, the reason that I drove down here was because I saw signs to a castle, and as you guys will come to discover, when I see signs to castles, I just go there and I have a look at them if I can. In Britain, some castles are essentially behind paywalls, so you have to pay to go in and look around them, and other castles are just open and you can just wander around them. So this castle is definitely behind a paywall, and it's essentially like a theme park. So it seems to be built on a 9-acre site of a real Norman Motte and Bailey castle, which is really freaking cool. And I would have absolutely loved to have gone and looked around the actual original site. But what they've done is they've built a massive wooden palisade right the way around it. And I've honestly never seen anything like this in the UK before. They have somehow got permission to build, and this is not a criticism, they've somehow managed to get permission, which you normally can't get in the UK, to build on a castle site. And they've built a massive, great wooden William the Conqueror style Motte and Bailey castle. Now, what's a Motte and Bailey castle? Essentially, it's a mound which has a palisade around it, and then there's usually a village attached to that lower than the hill. The hill is the fort. The village, which also has a palisade around it, is the kind of fortified supply, essentially, for the fort. And you've got to realise that in 1066, when William the Conqueror won the Battle of Hastings, he very quickly had to throw up. This was the Norman way. It is the Norman way. It was the Norman way to throw up castles everywhere. But what were castles? Well, in 1066, or just after he'd won the Battle of Hastings, a castle really was more like a fort. If you think of something more akin to a kind of Wild West fort, a wooden palisade essentially in a defendable position, surrounded by a clear view, so you could see anyone coming, and kind of dominate the landscape, and usually near a river as well for means of transport and obviously fresh water and everything else. So right, I'm going to try and get some shots of this thing for you. I'm going to have to practically stand on my car because they've been quite clever. They've grown lots of trees around the site, so you can't gawp at it and look at it very easily without actually paying to go in. But and I don't want to pay to go in today. Maybe another time I will. Yeah, anyway, I'll link below if you want to see better pictures of it, but I'll try and get some footage of it now. So as you can see, they've built a massive great wooden palisade right the way around the hill. And you know what, it's actually quite useful for giving you an impression of what a kind of early Norman, so right after the Battle of Hastings, fort may have looked like. My opinion is that those palisade walls are not nearly tall enough. They look to be about 10 feet tall. I imagine they would have been taller than that by quite a bit, in my opinion, but I might be wrong, who knows. It's difficult to say how high a wooden palisade. That's a kind of simulated siege tower. Obviously this whole thing is, you know, for kids, and I'm sure it's absolutely awesome. Inside there's a toy museum apparently, and various other things, and lots of animals and stuff, like a petting zoo. But I'm just amazed, I've never heard of this before. But I don't come over Essex way very often, so nothing against Essex, it's just not that easy to get to from where I live. So you can see it goes all the way over there. Crazy. There's a kind of battering ram thing, the thing with the wheels on, that's just there. And great big palisade wall. Apparently this site is 9 acres, which is a fairly large area to stick a fence around. I would also say you can see that the walls of the palisade are not that thick. Obviously a real palisade wall would want to be somewhat thicker than that, because you could hack through that with an axe fairly quickly, I would think. But interesting nevertheless. Cheers guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We have extra videos on Patreon, and you can follow us on Facebook.